Vote, the ayes are 212, the nays are 211. The question of consideration is decided in the affirmative. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. The gentlewoman from North Carolina, Mrs. Fox, is recognized for 1 hour.
Mr. Speaker, by direction of the Committee on Rules, I call up House. Pardon me. Mr. Speaker, for the purpose of debate only, I yield the customary 30 minutes to the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. McGovern, pending which I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
During consideration of this resolution, all time yielded is for the purpose of debate only. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Republicans stand ready to deliver H.R. 1 directly to the President's desk for his signature. Late last year, the American people rallied en masse behind the Republican vision for a renewed nation. A nation no longer blighted by the cataclysmic failures of the previous administration. A nation primed and ready to enter the golden age. One of the many strong reinforced byproducts of our Republican vision is the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It is one of the most consequential pieces of legislation that any party has ever passed, and for good reason. The provisions interwoven in this legislation are monumental. They are what the American people voted for in November. Historic tax relief for working families, massive investments to secure our nation's borders, capturing generational savings, slashing waste, fraud, and abuse in government programs so that they may run more efficiently for those who truly need them. Mr. Speaker, I could opine at length about the wins that Republicans have secured in this bill, wins that we've been highlighting to the American people for months. Meanwhile, our Democrat colleagues have resorted to fear-mongering and wailing from their bully pulpits in the hopes of deceiving the American people. For months, we've heard Democrats claim that the sky was falling, that all hope is lost because H.R. 1 will bring about the end times, and a litany of other outlandish and absurd claims. They are so desperate to smear H.R. 1 and deny the American people the policies that the American people overwhelmingly voted for in November. But let's again focus on what this bill accomplishes. It yields the single greatest cut in wasteful government spending in congressional history by slashing far more than $1 trillion of bloat. It preserves the greatest battle-tested set of tax cuts for working families that our nation has ever seen or our economy has ever realized. It doubles down on the border priorities of the most successful enforcement efforts by a president in our nation's history. It realigns our economy in defense of American workers, American energy, American businesses, and American job creators to unleash the engines of our economy, raise the tide of our economic standards, and bring a new definition of American greatness to the world. Perhaps the reason why Democrats are so desperate to smear this legislation is because they are caught in their own self-inflicted malaise of denial. Perhaps they still can't accept that Americans chose Republicans to lead the nation instead of them. That said, Mr. Speaker, Republicans are not distracted by that fear-mongering and doomsaying of those who want H.R. 1 to fail. The facts are on our side, and we've been cutting through the noise by bringing those facts to the American people for months. So that the record is clear, a vote against this legislation is a vote to green light the largest tax increase in American history being levied against everyday men and women. Decimation of millions of jobs across America. Kneecap the capabilities and readiness of the nation's military. This is not fear-mongering like what our colleagues across the aisle have been engaging in. These are just facts. Mr. Speaker, the pathway forward is crystal clear. The House must pass this rule and pass the Senate amendment to H.R. 1 so that more wins can be delivered to the American people. The American people deserve to keep winning, and to deny them that opportunity is a flagrant disservice. This legislation is the embodiment of the America First agenda, and we would all do well to remember that. Failure at this critical juncture is not an option. This clock is ticking. The President and the American people are waiting. I reserve.
The balance of our time, gentleman from Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the gentlewoman from North Carolina for yielding me the customary 30 minutes, and I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, this process, an abomination, legislative malpractice. Final text of this bill came out less than 24 hours ago. We met in committee an hour after it was posted, and now we're here considering a rule that only allows for 1 hour of debate. This bill is within the jurisdiction of 12 different committees. 1 hour is ridiculous. And every minute we're finding out new things that were snuck into the bill. A tax cut for whalers, and now we're learning about a gambling tax. Republican leadership and the White House are jamming this bill down our throats. And for what? We are not on a deadline, no looming crisis. We're here because Donald Trump wants a 4th of July party to celebrate this garbage bill. He wants fireworks and flags and cameras, not for this country, but for himself. So he says, close your ears, close your eyes, and vote for this bill. Honestly, sounds more like a cult than a Congress to me. Some Republicans promised their voters no cuts to Medicaid, no new debt. Now they're flipping faster than pancakes at a campaign breakfast. The House passed it, hoping the Senate would kill it. The Senate passed it, hoping the House would grow a spine. Everyone is playing a game of legislative chicken, voting for a bad bill and thinking the other chamber will be the one to fix it. This is nuts. And Trump says, have fun and vote yay. Have fun gutting Medicaid? Vote yay on taking away food from poor families? Are you serious? This bill is catastrophic. It is not policy, it is punishment. Let's talk facts. It slashes Medicaid, cuts Medicare, dismantles the ACA. It shutters rural hospitals, closes nursing homes, wipes out health centers. It takes food off kitchen tables, throws clean energy workers out of jobs, spikes utility bills. And why? So billionaires and oil companies can cash in. Big oil gets handouts, billionaires get tax breaks, working families get scraps, if that. Jeff Bezos just had a $50 million wedding in Venice, and they want to give him another tax break. Meanwhile, families making under $50,000 a year, well, they get less than $1 a day in tax cuts. You can't even buy a cup of coffee with that. And the cost, over $3 trillion added to the debt and a $5 trillion debt ceiling raise, brought to you by the very people who won't shut up about so-called fiscal responsibility. This isn't tax reform to relieve the middle and working class. It is a robbery that will result in the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich our country has ever seen. So let's not lie to the American people. This is about taking from the most vulnerable to pay off the already powerful. It is about pleasing one man who's holding this Congress hostage with primary threats and social media tantrums. This bill is cruel, it is cowardly, it is a betrayal of everything this country is supposed to stand for. I reserve my time.
Gentleman reserves the balance of his time. Gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from New York, Mr. Langworthy.
Gentleman's recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I rise today in strong support of the rule to consider H.R. 1, the one big, beautiful bill, because the stakes for the American people could not be higher. We are rapidly approaching a fiscal cliff. If we do nothing, the Trump tax cuts, the most pro-growth tax reforms in generations, will expire. That means higher taxes on nearly every American. That means a gutted child tax credit. That means small businesses losing the tools they need to survive and to thrive. That means less take-home pay for working families already that have been crushed by the Biden-era inflation. This isn't some hypothetical scenario. This is the Democrats' game plan. They want to raise taxes. They want to punish success. They want more people dependent on government and fewer people building independent lives. And Republicans will not let that happen. With H.R. 1, we're stepping to lock in the Trump tax cuts permanently and to provide targeted new relief to the workers and to the families who keep this country running. Seniors, tipped workers, and those putting in overtime to get ahead. But, Mr. Speaker, this bill also takes a critical step to protect and to strengthen Medicaid, a vital program for millions of Americans. And let me be very clear about something, that this isn't anything radical. We're restoring the same common sense work requirements that President Bill Clinton signed into law into the 90s, one of the most popular things he did. And back then, a Democratic president worked with a Republican Congress to say that if you're able-bodied and adult without dependents and you're receiving government assistance, you should be expected to work, train, or volunteer and participate in the economy. And ladies and gentlemen, it worked. Poverty dropped, employment rose, and millions of Americans moved from welfare to work and independence. But Democrats today have abandoned that model. They want permanent government dependency. They'll oppose any form of accountability, and they'll vilify anyone who dares to suggest that opportunity should come with responsibility. Well, Republicans are standing up for what works and what's right, and we're saying Medicaid must remain a lifeline for the truly vulnerable, children, seniors, the people with disabilities, and low-income parents. But for able-bodied adults without kids, yes, you should try to work, just like in the 90s, just like under President Bill Clinton. This isn't extreme. It's not partisan. It's proven policy that respects both taxpayers and lifts people up. Mr. Speaker, this bill delivers economic relief, fiscal sanity, and basic fairness, and it secures the future of our economy and our safety net. Let's choose the path that's been tested and proven to work. Let's approve this rule. Let's pass one big, beautiful bill, and let's get this country back on track. I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I want to alert all members to something about this rule. It has a mistake in it. Republicans have rushed this process from the very beginning to meet Trump's artificial July 4th deadline, and this rule is no exception. We found an error in the rule at 2 a.m. this morning, after the Rules Committee reported the rule. This is going to sound a little in the weeds, but they forgot to do something called considering the previous question as ordered on their big, ugly bill. Now, let me put that in English. What that means is they won't have an escape hatch once they start debate on this bill. So if they started and they realize they don't have the votes, they still have to take the embarrassing vote. There are also other consequences, but this Speaker's timeout authority is the one Republican leadership is most afraid of. Now, I expect they'll try to fix this with an amendment, but I have a question for members. If this Republican leadership cannot get a one-paragraph rule right, can we really trust them to get a 870-page bill right? Not only are we going to find things that were snuck into this bill, we're going to find massive mistakes that have unintended consequences for people and industries across this country. This whole process has been lousy, and this rule is no exception, and I reserve.
Gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Scott.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to address the American citizens for just a couple